Am I the a-hole for telling my sisters that us being separated was the best thing that could have happened to me? When I, 24 female, was 10 and my sisters were 7 and 6, we were removed from our parents and placed in foster care. I was separated from them and placed into a different home, which I do believe was the best for me. We were taken because our parents were neglectful and allowed a very unhealthy codependency to form on my sister's part with me. They never wanted me to be away from them. They followed me everywhere. To the bathroom, to get a drink of water, everywhere, and refused to sleep anywhere but my bed. They would sit on top of me and cry if I closed a door between them and me. It was awful getting them to school every morning, and that was my job. They tried so hard to not let me go, and I had to run away most mornings. It was intense. Then one day when I dropped them off, they were just worse. They refused to let go of me, and when their teachers tried to take them into class, they started screaming and crying and saying they needed me and they weren't going to leave me alone. The school tried to call our parents and got no response. So the principal asked me why they were like this, and I told her about everything. Once she heard enough, she had someone call CPS, and then a social worker showed up after a couple of hours, and I was still being held by my sisters, who were refusing to leave my side. They wouldn't let me go for the social worker. They wouldn't let anyone take me from them, and everyone could see how much I was struggling. In the end, they had to help me get them off and give me some space. I ended up locked in a bathroom for a while until my sisters were dealt with, and I guess some meetings happened. My sisters were placed with emergency foster parents, and I was temporarily placed in a group home until they found me an emergency foster family. It took 2 days. Lots of work was put in to bring us back together, but each time they saw me, they had to be pulled off me and they would scream and cry. I ended up with amazing parents who adopted me. My sisters weren't adopted but had a stable family for most of their time in foster care. As adults, they reached out, and while they seemed better, they still had a tendency to cling, and I had to enforce some very firm boundaries and end a lot of visits and calls. They complained for a while that we never should have been separated and how awful it was of our social worker to remove me from them and keep us apart and end our visits with each other. After a while, they made some comments about me being adopted and how bad it was because it cut our legal ties. They said I didn't consider them when I got adopted. Then a few days ago, when they were going off about it, I told them us being separated was the best thing that could have happened to me. I told them it allowed me to grow as a person instead of being forced to take care of them. I told them we needed the space because they were unhealthily attached to me. They told me it was cruel and I should have been glad to stay with them no matter what. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. So sorry that all of you went through that, and so glad that you were able to get your own healthy, happy family situation. They may try to call you cruel, but I wonder if they've considered the perspective that it's kind of cruel for them to make you feel bad for not considering them. When you were 10, you were a child. You had experienced trauma too. Just because they felt safe with you doesn't mean you were suddenly supposed to be able to think differently, drop everything, only think of them and what they need, and sacrifice your life to support their unhealthy attachment. That's quite an unhealthy expectation on their part. You were a child and needed a safe environment too. You couldn't have worried about everyone, and you had a right to want a life and space for yourself. Hopefully they can learn to respect your boundaries, so, as another commenter also said, they don't drive you away. It sounds like they need help dealing with their attachment styles, so I hope that's something they get, along with a happy, healthy family of their own too. All the best. I'm sorry to say, they are still unhealthily attached to you, and you probably shouldn't have contact because years after they're still trying to suck you back in. Not the a-hole. Not the a-hole. The separation allowed you to be a child yourself, rather than a child forced to grow up too soon by taking care of your younger siblings. Honestly, I think your sisters need therapy as they are still hung up on you. Continue to set and maintain your boundaries with your sisters. Thanks for tuning into these captivating Reddit stories. For more intriguing tales and discussions, be sure to subscribe to Spill Tea. Stay tuned for more fascinating content.